Good morning, students. This is my fourth lecture on the poem The Brook by Alfred Tennyson. In our previous class, we discussed the first three stanzas of the poem, and there, in those three stanzas, we come to know that by describing the journey of the brook in those stanzas, the poet refers to the energetic activities of a child. Okay, now in today's class, we are going to discuss the next three stanzas of the poem. That means stanza number 4, 5, and 6. And as you know, that in these stanzas, the poet, by describing the journey of the brook, refers to the second stage of human life, that is youth. And youth is symbolized by what? It is symbolized by a carefree attitude. It's symbolized by carefree attitude means that young people, they have both mental and physical strength. And with that mental and physical strength, they can overcome anything. And that fact has been highlighted in these three stanzas. Now let us first of all, come to stanza number 4. Okay. So in stanza number 4, the brook says that when it passes over the stony ways, that means when the water of the brook travels over the stones, then it produces a shattering sound. I shatter. Shatter means what? Shatter means the sound of talking, constant talking. Okay, that means when the brook flows over the stones, it produces a constant sound. And what type of sound it produces? In little sharp and treble. Sharp and treble means high pitched sound. A sound that can be heard from a distance. So, for example, whenever you visit a hilly area, then you can hear the sound of a stream or a brook from a distance. How? Because the water of the brook flows over the stones and it produces a sound, and that has been identified as shattering sound. And here the poet, by saying that the brook produces a high-pitched shattering sound, by saying that the brook actually refers to the young people, because the young people, that means you are in your youth, that means you are very talkative. Whenever you get chance, you start talking. Suppose if a teacher goes out from the class for a moment, then you start talking with one another. And when you talk not in a low inaudible voice. You talk in a high pitched sound. That is why it is sharp and treble. As the brook produces a high pitched sound, similarly the young people also produces a constant high pitched sound because they are talkative. And then it is said that I bubble into eddying bays. I babble on the pebbles. And then the brook says that when it hit the bay means the bank of the brook, then it creates bubble. Now let me explain this line, that when the brook comes down from the top of a mountain or a hill, then when it reaches the plains, then it hits the bay or the bank. Then what happened? Whirlpools are created there, and in those whirlpools the bubbles are created, as you can see on the picture that I have pasted on the right hand side of the screen. There you can see the whirlpools as well as the bubbles there. Okay, and when we see the bubbles, at that time what happened? At that time the water of the brook appears a bit dirty. Why? Because of those whirlpools. And why those whirlpools are created? Because the bank obstruct the flow of the brook. And that is why those whirlpools are created and the brook appears dirty. And we can relate it to the young people also, because the young people, they have energy, both mental and physical, and with that energy what they do? Sometimes they try to break the norms, the barriers of the society also. The elderly people of the society, they try to create barriers in front of the young people. For example, suppose you want to do something, sometimes what happens? Your parents or the elderly people of the society say that don't do this. It is against the society. You should not do this. So when this thing happen, what happen? You have the energy. You want to break all those barriers. And that means you come into clash with the society, the norms of the society. As the water of the brook comes into the clash with the bay or the bank, you also come into clash with the society. And as a result of that, as in the case of brook, whirlpools are created and the water appear dirty. Similarly, in the society also, chaos has been created because of the conflict between the young people and the norms of the society, the elderly people of the society. And then what happened? The society becomes dirty. And then in the last line, the poet says that I babble on the pebble. That means, again, the poet says the same thing, that when the brook flows over the pebbles means stones, then it produces a constant babbling sound. Babble also means the sound of talking. Okay, clear this stanza. And in this stanza, the poet uses two poetic devices. One is onomatopoeia. And the examples of onomatopoeia are chatter and babble. And on the other hand, the poet uses the device called anaphora, and the example of anaphora is I, because the word I is repeated in line number 1, 3, and 4. Okay, clear? Then in stanza number 5, the brook says that with many a curve, my bank I fret. Fret means to devour or to submerge. By many a field and fallow. Field means the land that has been cultivated, and fallow means uncultivated land. And many a fairy foreland set with willow, woods, and mallow. Now here in this stanza, two aspects of the brook has been highlighted. One is the destructive aspect of the brook. The other one is the constructive aspect of the brook. What is the destructive aspect here? In the first two lines, the poet says that the brook sometimes what it used to do, it devour or it submerged the bank. That means during the monsoon season, because of excessive rain, the water of the brook overflows and flood comes and it submerges the cultivation of the farmers as well as the uncultivated land. That means it brings massive destruction, the loss of property to the people. So the brook can bring destruction. On the other hand, and many a fairy foreland set with willow, woods, and mallow. But the same brook created some fairy. Fairy means beautiful. Foreland means headlands. Headland means the land that moves towards a water body. Okay, so the brook says that it creates some beautiful forelands, and those forelands are filled with different types of flowers, different types of willow, wood means shrubs, and mallow means flowers. With those flowers and shrubs, those forelands or the headlands appear very beautiful. And why? Who formed those forelands? With flowers? The brook. That means the same brook brings destruction, and the same brook created those beautiful forelands. That means the brook has two aspects. One is the destructive, the other one is constructive aspect. Similarly, we can relate it to the young people. Okay, the young people, they have energy, they have power, and they can use that energy in the wrong way, in the destructive way, or they can use that energy to the constructive way. The young people, they can use their energy by doing some useless things, and if they perform those useless things, the things that are harmful for the society, then it will bring destruction to the society. On the other hand, the same young people, if they use their energy, if they use their power in the right direction, then what will happen? Then there will be development, there will be prosperity, there will be beauty in our society. So in this way, the brook has two elements, two aspects, destructive and constructive. The young people have also two things. They have power. If they use that power in the wrong direction, they can bring destruction to the society. And if they use that power in the right direction, they can bring development, they can bring progress, they can bring beauty to the society. Now in this stanza, anaphora is used. Anaphora means repetition of the same word in consecutive lines. Here in line number 1, 2, and 3 of the stanza, the word many is repeated. This is an example of anaphora. On the other hand, alliteration is used here. Field and fallow, this is an example of alliteration. Fairy foreland is an example of alliteration, and willow weed is an example of alliteration. Okay, I think you are able to understand, grab the idea of this stanza. Now let us come to the last stanza for today. In the stanza, the brook says that I sat as I flow to join the brimming river, for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So again the brook says that when it flows over the stones to meet the brimming river, it produces a shattering sound. Again it refers to what? It refers to the tendency of the young people, the talkative nature of the young people, that the young people, they are very much talkative. Okay, the talkative nature of the young people has been highlighted in this particular stanza, and then we come across the refrain of the poem. What is the refrain? For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. That means our life is transient, our life is short-lived. We have come to this earth, one day we have to leave this earth, but the objects of nature, like the brook, will go on forever. And in this stanza, 4 poetic devices are used. They are alliteration. Example of alliteration is men may. On the other hand, anaphora is used here. The word shatter has been used in line number 1 consecutively. Then antithesis is used. Opposite words are juxtaposed. Those opposite words are come and go. This is an example of antithesis. And finally, refrain. As you know, all of you know that what is a refrain, and the last 2 lines of the poem is an example of a refrain. Okay, and now 5 questions to write the answers. All these are 1-mark questions. So try to write the answers of these questions, and if you find any problem, then you can contact me. I shall give you the answers. Okay, so thank you for listening and watching this video, and have a nice day. Goodbye for today.